Sorry, Canada. Welcome to the United States of America, baby.
It's time to get some SportSense. You're gonna get some SportSense. You better get ready for SportSense. SportSense.
Welcome back to SportSense, everyone. This is the show where we break down sports news for sports noobs. I'm Cooper Epps, here to learn about sports and sports culture from my dad, James Epps. Let's get into it. Dad, how are you doing?
USA. 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 That's how I'm doing. I'm doing great. Thanks.
It feels good to be an American.
I think what I got excited about through it all, the great vast majority of the athletes were proud to be from this country, proud to talk about this country, were able to clearly go apolitical. It was great. I mean, there's some interesting things that happened. I know we're going to talk hockey, but yeah. I love the skater. Did you read about and get the sense of the two athletes? One that had a Chinese heritage, but
yeah.
who went for China. Went and
the snowboarder
represented
yep.
China. Yeah, snowboarder. She was this. Anyway, I don't want to be ugly, but she was kind of sorry. I thought about not just doing that, but just what she had to say. I thought was weak. And then you compared her against Lou or whatever her name was, the
Alyssa
skater,
Lou, yeah,
listen, who we haven't won in 20 years that event, and she went out there and did it, and you learn of. Did you see of her past history, her parents' story, and grandfather's story?
I was going to bring it up. I had it in my notes. Yeah, her dad.
Sorry, I'm jumping right into this crazy stuff. Before.
No, this is great.
Yeah, I mean, so they were barely escaped, and he was there protesting at Tiananmen Square. Where the famous guy stands out there in front of the
He fled
tank.
to America, right? And got like four. I heard he has 4 college degrees. Apparently, I don't know. I guess at varying levels. Super intelligent
most
guy.
of them I think are from here, but anyway, I just loved her outspoken passion for the United States and opportunity it gave her family. And that's the true American. And I mean true, because they're the ones who appreciate what this country means, because they know, at least her heritage, her father and grandparents they know what it's like to be under communist rule, where you open your mouth and you might not ever exist again. I mean, literally, just go to North Korea. Go live in China. Go and really find out what it's all about. And then you'll come back and maybe grow to appreciate what they have, this incredible gift, the greatest country and society ever to exist. I've taught you kids all the time. Only 5% of all humanity have ever lived free, truly free in a free country. When you look back at the history of humankind.
Of course, are we slaves to corporate America? I don't know, but
I'm gonna get off this podcast right now. When you start that is such garbage. You're not slaved in. You're slave to your own laziness, your own sorriness, your own weak-willedness and weak-mindedness. That's what you're slaves to.
Hopefully, you're talking to the general proximity and not just me specifically. But
correct. I'm talking to the general public here, of those who find themselves complaining. But I appreciated, what's her name? Alyssa Lou? What's her first name?
Yeah, well, here, let's get it. Alyssa is her first name, but let's
get organized.
Let's start with a little mailbag, and then we'll get into our biggest Olympic stories. The first week of the Olympics felt kind of rough on us as Americans. This second week was just totally redeeming. But before we get to all that, we did have just a couple messages from people. So the first is, Kevin Durant was accused of criticizing his teammates and coaches using multiple burner accounts on social media. Did you hear about this?
I did hear about it. I didn't pay it much attention, but I did hear.
It's not worth talking about much, but it is hilarious. And it is based in a precedent, which is that, what's his name? Kevin Durant. He has had burner accounts in the past, and he's been busted for them in the past. I don't think he was as critical back then, but he would basically use them to argue with critics of his online. Apparently, he's quite active in that.
He's been renowned for caring about what people think and say, whereas others ignore it, right? There's other great athletes who just say, I know what I am. I'm not worried about somebody in the basement and what they're having to say.
Right.
So I think he was known for sensitive, thin skin. That's all I really remember hearing much about.
Well, and I feel like that's not an attribute you hear about, top echelon expert athletes having. So I was kind of surprised to learn that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I guess he's just good enough at basketball. He can be sensitive and be good at basketball at the same time. I don't know.
I guess.
Because it seems like that's an attribute of a successful person, is setting aside what other people think and say and just carrying on with what you know and you believe in,
Yep. I think that's true.
Anyways.
Even, I don't know what level of success somebody would have to have in the world, but I think if you have a good self-esteem and you're convicted in whatever it is you're working towards, believing in, preaching of, working towards, then you have to pretty much need to develop that. You can't, if you let others dictate how you feel and respond to your pursuits based on and I know it's easy to me if you're one of the top basketball players in the world and have been for 20 years, how you could let someone of any lesser skill set get to you. I don't care if it's a sports writer or a dummy that's sitting in his basement making
couch potato,
making fun of you. Yeah. I don't know how you could let that bother you at all. I think I would just scoff at him. I feel like, I just couldn't imagine.
Yeah. No, it cracks me up. So anyways, that was a funny story. Apparently, if this is true, from one of the burner accounts, was comparing his coaches to Stalin and Hitler and all sorts of crazy stuff.
So I'm wondering, I think, he has a little history there. So maybe I don't know.
Maybe I texted a guy that we're going to have on the podcast before the end of the season. Diehard Kevin Durant fan, and of course, diehard Houston Rockets fan now that Kevin Durant is playing for them. And that's who we have our hypothetical money on this year for the NBA playoffs, if you remember.
Yeah.
So anyways, we're going to have him on the podcast. He is truly a Kevin Durant expert, fascinated with him, studies him. And I texted him, and he basically was like, I think it's all just foo. And he didn't pay much mind to it. So
I figure the most that could be is probably some of his people were doing that. I don't know if he sat around and really did that.
Yeah, his diehard fans or something.
Yeah.
Anyways, pretty funny. Okay. The only other thing, this is mailbag from me. Sometimes I just want to bring something to the show that I found interesting and curious. I saw a number of videos this week, and I don't follow F1 online. So the fact that these were served to me makes me think that it's a pretty big talking point right now. Apparently F1 cars are going major redesigns for the 2026 season. And so they've been starting to let the press start to see and hear and watch them perform. And everybody has been complaining about the sound. They say it sounds like nothing they've ever heard before. Super strange. And there's really weird things, like the cars have to sit there and kind of charge up for 10 seconds before finally blasting off. But apparently there's lots of strange and interesting changes happening to F1 cars. So that will be, and on the F1 website, they claim it's the biggest revolution or evolution in F1 history. So anyways, that's something to keep an eye out on as the F1 races start this year.
Yeah, let's do it. I glanced on there, and there definitely is lots of references here. And
the website,
and taking a look.
Yeah, the website claims that it will help in overtaking maneuvers. So I think maybe they're trying to make it more exciting as far as people switching positions and taking over each other.
Yeah,
I don't know. They're definitely trying to change the game a little bit, though, with whatever these new rules are that are causing these new vehicle designs. So I just thought it was kind of interesting. So let's get into the real stuff. So let's just dive into the greatest Olympic moments we're going to say for Americans, because this is an American podcast here. We're not going to shy away from it. Look, and I got to say, I saw a headline this morning. Of course, people are starting to say, oh, look, MAGA is so excited that the U.S. won in hockey. And it's like, we're all excited. What are you talking about? So some people are trying to politicize it and say, look at all those Trumpians being excited for America winning in hockey for the first time in 46 years. That's just the stupidest crap I've ever heard. So that's my little soapbox there. But yes, as America, we should all be super stoked right now because hockey. And so, Dad, you gave us a little teaser last week about women's hockey. And I did a lot less research, admittedly, on this. So I was wondering if you wanted to talk at all about what happened last week with them and a little bit about their story.
All I do is the point I gave you before. That was absolute domination up to the championship game, which was against Canada, right? So I think you just find certain things fascinating how they work out. Number one, hockey is almost the only sport any Canadian cares about, right? It is what they are.
It's their sport.
It's their DNA. It's in their DNA. It's in their blood. I mean, maybe Norwegians or, the other Norway, whatever the couple of others, of course, over in Europe that also feel that way. But Canada for sure. You tell me, that's it. I mean, where else? And we have had a rift with them for a good little while now, and politics did get involved, but definitely, here's what blows my mind, was so cool. Versus 46 years ago, it was 20 college kids basically had to stop the Russian machine.
Whoa. Hey, hold on. Are you skipping to men's hockey? Because I wanted to stay focused on
women's hockey. What I'm setting up is the Canadian U.S. competition, including the women. So I'm just saying, it's now you have even our women, they can't be full professional, but there's professionals we have. So what I'm saying is on both of them, you've got the very best hockey players in our country, be it professional or collegiate if it's some of the women, but if they haven't been playing professional, but you got the best that we've got in our country to offer. But then think of how many other sports we have that our kids, especially most of the great majority of our country, they don't play hockey in their geographical area. It's just not what they do. So we're heavy in the Boston College, right? Some of those universities that play heavy hockey in the new Northeast of the U.S. So I'm just saying, I was with the women, they were absolute dominant, which was blowing my mind, which I loved. But then to have both,
Yeah, you're saying that there's a discrepancy where American athletes are spread across way more sports, and so it's a smaller amount that kind of filter into hockey.
Absolutely, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, this is like when as U.S. if we go and play foreign or in the Olympics basketball and we get beat, and which happened that one time, that's like Canada losing to us in hockey, right? Us losing to somewhere else in the world basketball, because that's in our DNA, right? That's every kid in this country starts playing some basketball at some time. Anyway, bottom line, I think it's great. I was so impressed. But for the women to play Canada and win in overtime, gold, that's just mind-boggling, number one. What a great accomplishment. It's crazy. And to set the table and it took a lot for Canada and the U.S. to get to as it turned out, men to get to the gold to get to the gold medal game, and to have us play, and then we can talk about and have us men win in overtime. I mean, that's crazy. I don't think that'll probably ever happen again, that men and women, U.S. hockey, win the gold medal in overtime, and took somewhat miracles to get there, their own types of miracle, especially when we talk about the men. So now that's all I'd say about the women. I was just blown away and impressed and loved it and thrilled. And
they didn't just win gold. Like you said, they steamrolled their way to that gold
all
medal
the way
match.
to that final. All the way to the final
Absolutely
game.
Dominated. Yeah. So moving on to men's hockey, the last time that men won Olympic gold in hockey from the USA was 1980, which is known as the Miracle on Ice. And like you said, there were some really drastic circumstances to that game. And so I don't know if this year compares in that way, but could you just really briefly remind us what the stakes were back then in 1980?
Well, again, USSR, Soviet Union, and Eastern Bloc nations they had professional developmental programs. They would yank a kid out of his home at age 10, and if they had whatever sport it is they thought they'd be best in, and they'd throw them in the program, and that's all they did basically. And the hockey players on average, I can't remember the average age, but they would be our top NHL level professionals well into their late 20s, early 30s, mid 30s. That was the seasoned team. Those guys that play together, some of them 15 years together. in Russia, and nobody had beaten them. And we played them, remember, at an exhibition game right before the Olympics and lost. We saw that. I can't remember what it was. 10-0.
It was a big,
10-1.
yeah.
Yeah,
big
it was a
margin.
beat down. It was a beat down, and we looked like little boys playing them. And then we basically ended up with 20 college kids. They were all college kids.
Because USA followed the rules, which were no professionals allowed at
Correct.
that time.
So that's the setup. I mean, that's the bottom line. The last time we won was 1960, 20 years prior at Lake Placid. So again, so this was this 80 was Lake Placid, this one was Lake Placid, but both of them were in the U.S. That's the only times we had ever won like that. So yeah, it was a miracle, and we beat them in the semifinals. And so we had to go on and win the finals still against Sweden, I believe, whoever it was, Sweden, I'm sure. So we still, that was unbelievable that they could even follow up and win the gold medal game, right? After truly, I mean, you already thought the miracle had occurred, but they weren't through yet. And so it's hard for me. I really can't compare the two other than saying a 46-year-long drought is pretty hefty. So we have failed, 12 and a half Olympics, basically since that time to win a gold medal. So I would say in its own right, it's equally amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard not to feel romantic about this. It was there were several elements that made it so. So yeah, go ahead. I can tell you.
No, I just think that's what makes it so great. The backdrop on this is so many of these guys, even across the ice, the Canadians, some of them are their line mates on their professional teams. Some of these guys are close, but what I loved, and this is not like superstar egos. I think this is the beautiful thing about hockey. These guys, it is a brutal team sport. I mean, but they love each other, and they said the U.S. Hockey Brotherhood. That's what the younger Hughes boy who scored, who busted his teeth. You can talk about him in a minute. He says the U.S. Hockey Brotherhood now, and they have grown so close together. I love that backdrop, and that there's no superstar. There's no star that they would, that gets all the attention. That it is truly each other. All of them are just so balled in together. And I just love that. I love that about the sport. It makes me appreciate the sport better. It appreciates them all coming together because, and this is a little backstory, Cooper. Here's a tidbit. Now, this is a good one I learned today. 5 years ago, in negotiation between the hockey labor union and the hockey owners, the players fought to be allowed to play in outside tournaments for their country, including the Olympics. Because before you had owners who did these, if you think of an owner who thinks of these players just as an asset, well, then they want you to, your clauses in your contract, you can't do these crazy sports, you can't do this. All you need to care about is winning for my hockey team that I own. Well, they said they would not sign that labor contract unless they got that concession. So that was done 5 years ago to guarantee that they could play like in the Four Nations tournament, to play in the World Hockey Tournament that you mentioned, and especially noted was the Olympics. That was noted there. So that's kind of cool, right? That's how long these guys have been caring and want to make sure they can represent the United States of America.
Because professionals were allowed in, like in the late 80s, early 90s, they were allowed in based on Olympic rules, but I didn't realize that the NHL level was holding them back for that many years after.
They were held back, and that was it. Kind of, I think it came in, and then they were not allowed because of the ownership, and then they negotiated the contract.
Wow!
So I just think that says a lot about these guys and their commitment, right? Their long-term commitment to representing their country. I just gives you goosebumps because I just love how fired up they were. I mean, which you're talking about that, the younger Hughes with the busted tooth. I mean, he gave about as good a speech as you can give. And it was not about him making the winning goal. I can tell you that. It was absolutely, anyway. So that's kind of my initial take on this is just, I'm so thrilled. And you're right. Just forget politics. This is one of those rare times where you should, as a nation, and for the most part we do, nation, join together and be bound by the love and success of this country. There's some outliers out there who, there's a few of our idiot athletes would say, I'm proud to be here, not so proud representing my country. They even said those words.
Wow.
And I thought, hang them by their toes and ship them off. That's what I'd do with them if I were the Olympic Committee. Who do you think you are? That's what I think. But the great majority, I think, feel a true pride because it is a great binding. I mean, I heard story after story, crazy stuff, how excited. There were, we don't drink, but there were bars opening in LA at 4:30 a.m. So they could all come. Yeah, because the hockey game, in East Coast, 8 a.m. start. And in LA, it was 5:10 a.m. They were opening bars at 4:30. Stuff like that going all over the country, opening bars to not so much, I think, to drink, but to give the place for everybody to gather and watch it on parties. The TVs and be pumped up together and fired up. I saw clips from military personnel watching the game, from kids in high schools and colleges at big watch parties watching and just going crazy when, as they won. That's the bonding and help healing of Americans. I mean, in such a divisive time of our history, which again, I still think that the great majority of them love this country, love their family, love God. And especially at Olympics time, they all bond together and pull for the same purpose. So I'm still a believer. I might be wrong, but I'm a massive believer in that. And I still get pumped up and love it when something like this happens.
I love that. Yeah, that's really cool. It's what you're describing. It's like those movie scenes where you see, like you said, all the different ages and different types of people around the country, all around their different TVs gathered around. It's like, I love that. Like I didn't get to feel that because I was holding our baby, trying to make him happy while I tried to steal a few glances at the game. And, so it's cool to hear that so many people did come together. But whether or not you did watch the game and get up early, there are several moments I wanted to bring up that are sweeping the internet right now, at least our American algorithms. So the first one I wanted to mention are these two sets of brothers that you talked about, Dad. So you may have heard the name Tkachuk. It's got a crazy spelling. It starts with a TK. I guess the T is silent. I don't know where they're.
I guess from. I just know I don't. It messes me up every time I see the T. I think, what did they say?
It's crazy, but the announcers all say Tkachuk. So Matthew and Brady Tkachuk were one set of brothers on the team, and you hear a lot about them, but I feel like you're hearing a lot more about Jack and Quinn Hughes, two really young guys, young brothers. And they were all on the roster, which that in its own to me is like so cool. Like I love hearing like a rock band, like when the members of the band are related, it's like a family band or whatever. Like, I think it's so cool when family members get together to do something. And anyway, so it's so cool that we had two sets of brothers on the American team. But I specifically want to bring up Jack Hughes. So we need to talk about Jack because he is the one, if you've seen the instantly iconic, instantly classic picture that's going to go down in hockey lore forever. The picture of the guy, the hockey player with 3 missing teeth, a flag, U.S. flag draped over his shoulder, and him just looking happy as a clam.
Still red blood all around, his mouth.
Yes, blood around his teeth and mouth. That is Jack Hughes, and he shot the game-winning goal in overtime. So everything about him is just like one of the most romantic parts of this whole game. So you need to know the name Jack Hughes. Now, I did want to bring up a little bit of sports speak. Let us learn some sports speak. So, Dad, do you know the reason Jack Hughes was missing 3 teeth in that picture?
High stick by a Canadian player.
Yeah.
He got caught bad, squared right up in the front of his mouth with a high stick penalty. Yeah,
so high stick. I actually don't know the strict definition. Do you know the definition of it, Dad? Is it?
All I know is that once you get it anywhere above the shoulders, and you get anywhere in the head region, face region, you get any part of your stick, and it collides with your opponent's face, that's an automatic major penalty.
Yeah. So you can lift your stick up high if you need to, but it's not a penalty unless you hit somebody's face.
Right, unless it's you make contact.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there you go. That's our sports speak for today.
I mean, that's what I understand it. And that's what every time you see a penalty, you see somebody getting popped in the face with the stick. So I'm assuming.
Right.
Maybe you can come up to it. Maybe they get it up high and it's a minor, but you don't hit anybody. I don't know. But
yeah, I don't think so. I just wanted to be extra clear for the listeners if you're very, not into hockey. So anyways, yeah, so there was a bad in the last 6 minutes of the game, high stick penalty from a Canadian player. It happened so fast, it looked like an accident, and maybe it was, but in slow-mo always makes everything worse. Right. But in slow-mo, it looks like that Canadian was trying to hit a home run with Jack Hughes' face. He really slashed that stick into his mouth.
Well, they're the best hockey players in the world. He knew, even if it's a little bit of quote an accident, he knew he knew the odds could be that he would take his face out. I mean, you can't tell me they don't know where that stick's going. They're so deftly skilled at moving those sticks, right?
Yeah.
It's not like me out there slinging a stick. This is like this is like perfection. They know exactly every part of their stick, they know exactly what that stick's doing. So that's my argument is, you can pull up. You can pull up.
Yeah. A little bit of he was a little happy to be reckless in that slip and fall where he hit Jack Hughes in the face. Now, I don't know what player that was, but I mean, penalties like that happen in hockey.
Yeah, it's hockey. It's hockey.
Yeah. So I'm not going to necessarily hold it against that guy or anything, but the fact is Jack Hughes, he was busted up. He was bent over on the ice after that. Russia, Canada got a 4-minute penalty for that.
So a major, right? Isn't that what they call it? A major,
yes,
right? That's
major penalty. So instead of the usual 2 minutes, it was 4 minutes of that Canadian in the penalty box. So that gave America, the U.S. team, a really amazing chance at the end of the game to score a goal, break the tie, and end it. They didn't, though. Canada held them off, and then Canada got a power play. Maybe that's what we should have done a sports speak on. Power play is when you have a power play when the other team has somebody in the penalty box. Power play because you get 4 men on the ice as your opponent has 4, so you get an man advantage. So anyways, so it was a really tense end of the game where Canada, they got a power play and U.S. was desperately trying to keep them from scoring. And anyways, they survive, go into overtime. And in overtime, for Olympic rules, it's 3-on-3 plus a goalie per team. So fewer men on the ice, really easy for someone to break away and get a chance at a goal and stuff like that. So you can be a lot more vulnerable. So it was that setting that Jack Hughes, with his mouth still bleeding, teeth missing, that he got, credit to his teammate who slung a really slick, fast pass to him out of nowhere. It looked like Canada was about to take possession again, but then all of a sudden the U.S. player just shot it back to Jack Hughes, who didn't have any man on him, and he just slid it right between the goalie's legs. And it was it happened so fast. I was watching it. I couldn't tell where the puck was. I didn't know it got on the goal. And all of a sudden, I see Jack Hughes a second.
Yeah, it took him a second to respond too. Did you see how he skated around? I guess he wanted to make sure it was in. I think he knew it was in, but he didn't even go throw his arms up. It took a couple seconds as he came back around. He threw his arms up when everybody was going crazy.
Yeah, it wasn't obvious.
Well, I heard the Canadian head coach, respectfully and with class, say, this is the hard part. We all live the same rule. Most of it, we're used to playing another period, right? When you're tied. He said, but TV and rules and everything else with Olympics, it's a shootout. And he says, and it really relies on your most skilled players. It's a skilled shot type play that you're relying on. And he said they have some excellent skilled players. That's all he could say. He just could. So shouldn't we add a little bit? Maybe you were going to that. To a great degree, it appears Canada really outplayed us for the whole game. They had 42 shots on goal, a good portion of them in the second period. I don't know how we survived the second period. And we had 28 maybe or something like that, 42-28, 42-26. And
it was a drastic difference.
Are you going to talk about the one save? You're going to talk about the goalie?
Yeah.
You're going to talk. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So let's talk about the goalie. So yeah, Canada vastly outshot the U.S. team, but Connor Hellebuyck, I guess is how you say his name.
Yeah, that's it. I've been listening to it today. That's awesome.
Oh my gosh. So as I wrote in my notes, he etched himself into hockey lore with 41 saves out of 42 shots. 42 really good shots, scary shots from the Canadian team. The most famous save, it was so cool. I'm just so happy I got to see it live because it's just one of those moments that really is going down in hockey history. I mean, this I think you could call a miracle. It was a miraculous moment in the game where he basically popped out of his pocket of the goal, making one save. The puck bounced to a Canadian player who's tried to scoop it up and shoot it into the goal, just as Hellebuyck threw his own stick behind his back.
Couldn't see the puck. There's no way he could see the puck.
No. Yeah. He was just throwing out a prayer. And the Canadian player shot it right into his stick right at the very moment he put it back. And it bounced out of the goal just barely. And the U.S., scooted it out of there. But it was unbelievable. The commentators were going crazy. And yeah.
That was the save. But there are so many great saves. So real quick, what I didn't know about, because I don't keep up with just other than the Canes hockey, right? For the most part, he plays for Winnipeg Jets, and he is the reigning NHL MVP.
Okay, I didn't know that
last year, and the winner of the Vezina Trophy, which is the league's best goaltender.
Wow, that's cool.
So he is considered basically the best in the world goaltender.
Wow.
So I didn't really realize we had that in our goal, or, netting the goal, minding the goals. So, I just wanted to throw that out there. I came to appreciate him a little more, that this was not some kind of accident. I mean, it's miraculous he survived 42 shots like that.
Yeah.
But still, we need to know he is probably considered the greatest in the world. Right.
Yeah. That's cool. That's so cool. Well, he was on, and it honestly is because of him that the U.S. won. It is only because of him. So, I mean, not only because of him, but without him, Canada definitely would have overtaken us, and the U.S. just wasn't putting enough points on the board to make up the difference. So yeah, Connor Hellebuyck had to go back to his Canadian team after winning that gold medal.
That's right. So Winnipeg Jets, as I said. Winnipeg. I was like, oh, baby, sorry, dude.
Yeah. So it was, I mean, I'm curious what that locker room is looking like, and what those fans, I'm sure the fans are happy to have the best goalie in the world back in their net, but the Winnipeg fans. Okay. Two things. They
might all turn his back on him on the first game just for a little while. They might.
Maybe. Yeah. That would be hard. That would be really hard. Okay. Just want to mention a couple other things. Those are the biggest stories. Jack Hughes and Connor Hellebuyck are the two names that you have to know. The memes are flying around like crazy about both of those guys. But I did
before you move on, because we have a couple. Yeah, I know. Before we do that, have you seen some of the memes? I mean, some of it's crazy. Have you seen the ones where the bald eagle, massive bald eagle, comes down and takes the Canadian geese?
Well, yeah, Dad, that one is from the White House. That's who posted that one.
That first one, I heard.
I don't know, but whatever your political affiliations are, that was funny, because what they did is they responded to a tweet that was a year old from Justin Trudeau, the Canadian prime minister, or whatever. And in that tweet, that was when Canada won the Four Nations face-off, and he's like, "You can't take our country and you can't take our game." And so a year later, the White House responded to that tweet with this picture.
Somebody has a long memory. Yeah.
Yeah. The eagle drowning the goose, the Canadian goose. So anyways, I thought it was hilarious. You can't not laugh at that.
The only reason I bring it up is because I know you catch these things, right? This is what you see and think's interesting and funny and talk about. And then some people are so talented with putting the right music behind some of those things.
Oh yeah. Freebird.
I mean, yeah, Freebird of all things. I just, Leonard Skinner, you're talking my world here. And I just sit there, and then that bald eagle is one bad looking eagle is all I know. I mean, those talons were just huge. And anyway.
Yeah. So it was, I think I read something that Freebird was like the official anthem of the team or something like that. Like I think that's why it's being used so much. But yeah, we've heard Freebird in every other reel for the past 24 hours, and it has not left my head.
Yeah.
But yeah, hey, on a sweet note, the last thing I want to mention about this game is that 2 years ago, two brothers named the Gaudreaus, or their last name, the Gaudreau brothers
Gaudreau.
from New Jersey.
Johnny and Matthew.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, they were cycling together and hit by a drunk driver and were killed in that incident. And so I don't know I can't remember if he used to play for Team USA or what, but
he had 11-year NHL career, so I'm assuming he probably I'm sure he must have.
Basically the whole series, like they were holding up his jersey and they were constantly honoring him. His wife, his widowed wife and two daughters were at least the gold medal game I saw. And the really sweet moment.
And his parents, I think.
And his parents, too. Yeah. And what I did not expect, I didn't expect to get emotional. And but yeah, at the end, when they were taking the picture with all the gold medals and everything, they brought down his two daughters and were holding up his jersey with them. It was really, really sweet.
Got them all. They sat down and sat them in their laps and got them all around the whole time. No, it's
the players
moving
so
and touching. I mean, you see the dad crying. I mean, it was. I don't know if you get bigger than that in terms of, again, that's like an extra layer of pride and love. And again, he talked about the U.S. Hockey Brotherhood that they've taken in the family. And I mean, what a horrific thing. I mean, a drunk driver taking out both. Can you imagine being the parents and the wives of those two guys?
Gosh.
I mean, yeah, it pulls hard at your heartstrings. And to know that this has been going on, they've been, like you said, honoring him the whole way. I mean, they've had his jersey everywhere. It's been hanging in every locker room. It's been a big deal. So I'm glad I had it noted here to bring it up too. So and that was so cool taking the daughters out there.
Yeah. So him and his family were memorialized as part of this experience as well, which I thought was just so incredibly thoughtful and amazing. Last thing I wanted to mention was Alyssa Liu. You alluded to her at the beginning. So tell us about Alyssa Liu, because I actually don't know.
I got to back up because you had a note, because I had a big question about this. Do you feel in any way, shape or form that Connor McDavid from Canada should win the MVP, or should you give it to one of the players like our goalie who won the gold medal?
Well, I was confused about this. That's part of why I just skipped over it, is because I couldn't speak to it very authoritative. Oh yeah.
Well, it's for MVP, as I understand, for the Olympic, I believe, for the whole tournament.
That's what I just Googled it. Yeah. It's called the Olympic MVP award. And
not just for the game.
Canada is what I just said.
Canada.
One of Canada's players was
you've been away from home long enough not to be saying that.
I know. Whoops. But yeah, his name's Connor McDavid, and he is a lot of people are calling him like the best NHL player right now. He plays for the Colorado Avalanche, and yeah, he was awarded the Olympic MVP, which is, like you said, you think it would come from the winning team, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know much more than that.
That was the little thing I had. That's all. I'm thinking that I guess they had to give Canada something. That was my that was my cynical view. I thought, but I mean, I know he's great. But I still think, I don't know. It's hard for me to think Connor, Hellebuyck didn't. Are they both named Connor?
Like he should have. Yeah, they are both named Connor.
Oh my
Lots
gosh.
of Connors.
I think they just got confused in Italy. I think they got confused and got the wrong Connor.
I do agree, though. It really should have gone to Hellebuyck for sure.
Don't you think? Because he had a great tournament. He had a great whole Olympic tournament.
He was the hero of this whole thing for sure.
Anyway,
so yeah, that is it for the Olympics. So incredible year, a great time to be an American fan. We didn't win in the overall medal count. We never do. But I think, did we tie or beat our most gold ever? Yep, I heard this is the most gold that U.S. has ever gotten in a Winter Olympics. So that's
we
great.
Performed great for Winter Olympics. Yeah. I mean, we absolutely. Yeah.
Yep. And then Norway, being a winter country, they had the highest count and everything, and they crushed it. So good job, Norway.
Anyway.
Okay. But that's it for the Olympics. Now, we do have to end this episode with a what the heck is next. I was about to give up and be like, I don't know, maybe we close down shop for a few months while we wait for football to start back up. But Dad, tell us a little bit about what's coming in March that we can now look forward to and get ready for.
Yeah, what's coming up is March Madness. I mean, probably, at least for most of my almost 66 years, it's been one of my favorite times of year is college basketball playoffs. And yes, it's mostly been the men, but the women's have a great tournament too. But yeah, it's coming up real soon. So the conferences are finishing up conference play. There's like 2 or 3 more games each for each team and conference. Then you'll have the conference tournaments, right? They have ACC tournament, Big 12 tournament, SEC tournament, Big 10. So they'll have their own tournament, which is usually a 3 to 4 day event. So that's the first weekend. And as soon as those tournaments, this is all designed and governed by TV, right? $1 billion TV contracts. Those tournaments either end on a Saturday night. The biggest ones, a lot of them end on a Sunday during the day. The champions, right? So as soon as that happens, the 60 quote 8 teams that give you the 64 field, right, will be announced that night on ESPN. They always do the March Madness, get everybody's seating and placement and who's in and who's out, which is always breaks the heart of certain teams and thrills other teams who get into the big dance, the March Madness. So that's coming up the first week of March. You'll start, I think this is probably March 8th because March 1st, the way it lands this year is this Sunday. And I know the tournaments aren't on. So the tournaments will be next week and it should be March 8th. I hadn't even looked, but that should be Sunday, March 8th and at night should be the reveal, if you will. And then we have fun for like 4 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks before the national championship game on the Monday night, whatever the date is, the first weekend of April, 1st of April. And it's a heck of a fun stretch. And we love to do our, what is it you call the tournament brackets? So we do family brackets. Everybody just seems to do work brackets. We'll definitely do our bracket,
podcast.
Right?
Oh yeah.
Yep. We'll do
podcast bracket. So keep your eye out for that on the Instagram story.
We'd love for you to participate because that's so much fun. But get ready. We're ready. And our heart got hurt because BYU just lost one of their best players to a knee injury last week. But at the same time, they just came and beat by 10 points, really 12, but they let them score 10 points, number 6 team, Iowa State in the country. So that gave me hope. Yeah. By the way, that was their first, they were 0-6 against everybody else they played that were ranked 12 or higher. Yeah. And we finally beat, that's a big win for us for our ranking in the tournament.
Yeah, they
I think
that was so bad.
Yeah. So anyway, I thought I should have gone to that game instead of the Houston game. So anyway, that's what's coming. Very excited.
Well, thank you as always for tuning in, everyone. If you don't already, go follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and what's the other bit? Oh, TikTok. So follow us on there at SportSense Podcast. With that, we will talk to you soon. Thanks, Dad.
All right. Love you.
Love you.
SportSense.